Something about modern life doesn't feel real. The problem is seeing through the matrix doesn't solve anything. It actually makes it harder to live. Because if modern life is not real, if it is a simulation, what do you choose? What do you move toward? How do you actually build a life that feels meaningful? Ultimately, the question is, how do you become successful inside a system that feels fake? It's no secret that we live inside a simulation. People spend their lives pursuing things that don't really matter. Achievement, status, belonging, things that look important but that actually don't feel real. Everything is spectacularized, made to feel urgent, especially when it isn't. In other videos, I call this spectator consciousness. That is to say, the distinct feeling that you're not quite inside your own life, that you're watching yourself live, but nothing feels real. Inside this kind of landscape, it becomes very hard to know what you actually want. In modern society, what is normally called desire is no longer entirely ours. What we call desire is shaped, directed, pre-planned, conditioned. People are trained to want what stabilizes the system. They're trained to want what others want. They think they've chosen their lives, but they haven't. They're being manipulated so they can be predictable, controllable, easy to steer, easy to pacify, easy to monetize. And to you, this is as clear as day. You see your parents striving from day to night in careers that maybe give them recognition but not happiness. And you know that that is not what you want because that's not real desire, that's not real aliveness. Real desire is unpredictable, uncomfortable, uncontrollable. It disrupts things. It doesn't fit neatly into a system. But instead, you find yourself surrounded by overstimulation, artificial environments, indirect experience, constant comparison. Slowly, your own signal gets drowned out. You cannot tell what's yours anymore. And so maybe rightfully you choose to withdraw instead. Because in your life and in the media, in popular culture, there are no examples of what alive success actually looks like. Once you see this dynamic, you can't really unsee it. But then a new problem appears. What do you actually do with this awareness? Because if none of what we call reality feels real, participating in it starts to feel really dishonest, something you don't have energy for. So the most natural response is to withdraw. Withdrawal becomes a form of resistance, a sort of quiet rebellion. You stop engaging, you stay inside, you spend your time in controlled environments, video games, content, your own thoughts. You step back from people, from systems, from anything that feels constructed. Because living in isolation starts to feel more true than choosing something that feels fake, especially when everyone around you insists that this is real and you know it isn't. But obviously, knowing that doesn't feel like success either. That's disengagement, conscious disengagement, but still not real. That was how I spent most of my teenage years, from 9 to about 18 years old, by myself playing video games, reading, daydreaming, eating more than I needed to, trying to compensate for something that was missing but that I couldn't name. People called me lazy, sluggish, unproductive. They took me to dietitians because they thought my weight was the problem. Everyone around me was rushing somewhere, and I kept asking myself, for what? but I didn't have any role models of what authentic success could look like, even inside a simulation. It's easy to become nihilistic, to withdraw from life, to decide that a good life is not available to you. That's exactly what I thought as a teenager. But that's not actually what's happening. You haven't withdrawn from life because you don't care, even though it might seem that way. You've withdrawn because what's in front of you doesn't feel real enough to commit to. Withdrawal is an act of integrity, but it causes you to become the loner, the lazy one, the one who's not doing anything. I was all of those things. But because underneath withdrawal, there's a refusal to participate in something that doesn't feel true. It looks like apathy, but it isn't. So then the question becomes, how do you actually live? How do you succeed inside something that feels like this? Because withdrawing isn't enough. Seeing through it isn't enough. Knowing the truth isn't enough. You still have to live. You still have to choose something. You still have to give life a real chance. And when I say succeed, I don't mean dominating anything or outperforming other people or becoming alpha. I mean something much more basic. Having a life that actually feels real to you. A life that has dignity. A life that also includes normal, healthy things that make you feel good. Loving relationships, not many, just one or two meaningful ones. Dignified work that makes you feel satisfied. A good income that makes living easy. And then you can have more, you can build on top of that, but that's the basis. Success is possible, but it doesn't come from trying to fit yourself into a reality that doesn't feel real. It starts from you. And it's not about control or projecting your frustrations outward. It's not about dominance. It's definitely not about status or performance. It's not even about accumulating wealth, even though money can be a useful tool. Success is about restoring contact, about having a life that is coherent, aligned with you, and feels worth living. A life with dignity. Real success doesn't start with strategy. It doesn't start with a 5 year plan. It starts with contact. Because when you're not in contact with your own life, like the raw material of your own life, you cannot orient yourself inside of it. You cannot find what's truly yours. And when I say life, I mean something truly basic beyond the simulation, what Deleuze called pure life. You can think all you want, you can analyze, you can plan, you can strategize about your purpose, but nothing fully lands because real contact, aliveness is much more immediate than that. It's not mental, it's sensation, it's being present, it's letting something actually affect you. Letting a song land, feeling the sun on your skin, taking a few real breaths, being somewhere without distractions, allowing yourself time to respond. These are very simple things, but most people don't know how to access them. They build busy lives that don't feel real and call that success. When contact returns, even briefly, you begin to touch something real. And from that, something starts to clarify. You begin to understand what actually feels good to you. If you prefer the sauna or the cold plunge, the morning light or the quiet anonymity of the night. That's how real orientation begins. From that contact, that faint sense of aliveness, something else begins to return. That is to say, real, unmediated dignity. Not as an idea, not as a rule, not because your dad or your teachers said so, but as a consequence. When you start to feel your life again, certain ways of living stop feeling neutral. Neglecting yourself doesn't feel right anymore. Escaping constantly doesn't feel healthy. You begin to take care of things that truly matter to you, of yourself, of your environment. You do what needs to be done, not perfectly, but consistently. You stop betraying what you know is true. You stop neglecting the things that matter. You take responsibility. You choose hard things because you know they forge your character. And your life starts to take on a different quality. Not because you forced it, but because you're no longer disconnected from it. You don't fix your life by forcing direction. You fix it by restoring contact and living from that place. That's real success. Hey, thank you for watching. If what I'm sharing resonates with you, make sure you hit subscribe to be notified when new videos are released. And if you want to go deeper, I share longer reflections, frameworks, and updates in my newsletter. The link is below. This channel is a growing body of work about restoring aliveness in a world that quietly trains you to live at a distance from your own life. Hey, thank you for watching. If what I'm sharing resonates with you, make sure you hit subscribe to be notified when new videos are released. And if you want to go deeper, I share longer reflections, frameworks, and updates in my newsletter. The link is below. This channel is a growing body of work about restoring aliveness in a world that quietly trains you to live at a distance from your own life.